Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Tanvi Taneja and with me is Vaibhav Jyotsna Srivastav with the evening news. The headlines. Rajasthan Governor approves removal of Sachin Pilot and two other ministers. Govind Singh Dotasara appointed as the next Congress state president. Commander-level talks between India and China for second phase of disengagement along the LAC conclude at Chushul in eastern Ladakh. Complete lockdown to be imposed in entire state of Bihar from 16th till 31st of July amid surge in coronavirus cases. HRD Ministry announces guidelines for online classes, recommends restriction on the screen time. And Indian Railways develops post-COVID coach with hands-free amenities to fight COVID-19. In Rajasthan, political turmoil continued as Governor Kalraj Mishra accepted the proposal of Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot to sack three ministers from the state cabinet. Mr. Gehlot had proposed to sack Sachin Pilot, Ramesh Meena and Vishwendra Singh from Rajasthan cabinet. Sachin Pilot was removed from the post of Rajasthan's Deputy Chief Minister, Vishwendra Singh as Minister of Tourism and Ramesh Meena as Minister for Food and Civil Supplies. Talking to media outside Raj Bhavan, the Chief Minister alleged that the BJP was trying to destabilize his government from the last 6 months. Mr. Gehlot said some of his colleagues were misled by the BJP.
उनका जो रवैया रहा है 6 महीने से उस रूप में इन्होंने पेश किया अपना आप रोज ट्वीट करते हैं रोज स्टेटमेंट देते रहते हैं जो माहौल है आज इस प्रकार से फैसले हुए हैं खुशी किसी को नहीं है ना कांग्रेस हाईकमान को खुशी है पार्टी तोड़ना संविधान के अंतर्गत कानून के अंतर्गत वो भी लिखा हुआ है एंटी डिफेक्शन बिल है अगर 2-3 होते हैं तो जाके आप पार्टी तोड़ सकते 20 लोगों ने पार्टी नहीं तोड़ती है.
Earlier, the crisis in the Rajasthan unit of Congress deepened when Sachin Pilot was removed from the post of party's state unit president. In his place, Govind Singh Dotasara was appointed as the next state party president. Congress spokesperson Randeep Surjewala announced this after the conclusion of Congress state legislature party meeting held in Jaipur today. On the other hand, senior BJP leaders also kept an eye on the day-long developments in the Congress. A meeting of senior BJP leaders was also held at party headquarters in Jaipur. After this, Leader of Opposition Gulab Chand Kataria said that the state government has lost the majority. He said in such a situation, Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot should prove his majority in the Rajasthan Assembly before the cabinet expansion.
अगर दम है तो पहले हाउस के फ्लोर पर अपना बहुमत साबित करें और उसके बाद मंत्रिमंडल का विस्तार करें तो जनता में एक अच्छी प्रतिक्रिया जाएगी. हमने तो दूर खड़े रहकर के सारा दृश्य देखा है कि हम ये जो आपस में जो लड़ाई है इसके परिणाम से क्या बनता है. मैं सोचता हूं कि जो परिणाम आना था वो आ गया. अब आगे की क्या स्ट्रेटेजी बनेगी मैं और मेरी पार्टी के सब प्रमुख लोग बैठ करके चर्चा करेंगे.
The police has tightened security in some districts of the state, including Savai Madhopur, Dausa, Karoli, Dholpur and Bharatpur. In another development, Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot had called the meeting of the state cabinet at 7:30 this evening, followed by the meeting of the Council of Ministers at 8 p.m. Our correspondent has the details.
The magic figure for the majority is 101 in the 200-seat assembly. The Congress had won 101 seat in the assembly elections. After the merger of all the 6 MLAs of the BSP, the total number of MLAs of Congress increased to 107. There are about 20 MLAs in revolt along with Sachin Pilot. Still, the Gehlot government has the support of about 10 independents, 1 RLD and 1 MLA of CPIM. The attitude of these MLAs will determine the future of the government. In such a situation, MLAs came from BSP and independents may get a berth in cabinet expansion. Many other MLAs are also likely to be given political appointments. But BJP has said that first the Chief Minister should prove the majority in the House, only then should we expand the cabinet. On the other hand, there is now a discussion in the political circles that what will be the next step of Sachin Pilot. Jitendra Dwivedi, AIR News, Jaipur.
The fourth round of commander-level talks between India and China has concluded at Chushul border post in eastern Ladakh. The talks began at Chushul post on the Indian side at 11:30 hours on the invitation from India. More from our correspondent.
The commander-level fourth meeting was held in the background of 30th June meeting, followed by the conversation between National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, Chinese Foreign Minister Mr. Wang Yi on 5th July. Talks are to initiate the second phase of disengagement along the line of actual control. GOC of Fire and Fury Corps, Lieutenant General Harinder Singh has welcomed his counterpart from China, the South Xinjiang Military Province Commander Major General Liu Lin, for the talks at Chushul. Today, the talks mainly focused on the implementation of agreement reached on the previous meetings. However, the thrust was upon complete disengagement at Finger 4 and further Pangang So and Depsang Plains. Lieutenant General Harvinder Singh will brief the senior army officials after the outcome of the today's talks by this night. Ramesh Chandra, All India Radio News, Leh.
The Health and Family Welfare Ministry has said that the difference between the active cases and the recovered cases are increasing progressively, and the total recoveries reached 1.8 times of the active cases. It said a total of 5,71,460 people affected with coronavirus have recovered in the country so far. With this, the recovery rate in the country has reached 63.02%. Presently, the total number of active corona cases in the country is 3,11,565. Briefing media in New Delhi today, the ministry said India has 657 cases per million in comparison to the global average of 1,638 cases per million, and India registered 17.2 deaths per million compared to the global average of 73 deaths per million. It said the daily growth rate in new cases is showing a declining trend, and it is now 3.24%, which was around 31% in March this year. The ministry said the case fatality rate also declined to 2.61%. It said 30 states and union territories have the lowest fatality rate than the national average.
There are 20 states and union territories that have better recovery rate than the national average of 63.02%. In terms of recovery rate, top 5 states and union territories are Ladakh, Delhi, Uttarakhand, Chhattisgarh and Haryana, wherein the recovery rate is above 75%. 10 states and union territories have contributed 86% in the total COVID-19 cases, and 50% of it alone came from Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu. Government has said that adequate testing is being done in the country to effectively deal with this crisis. There are 22 states in the country which are conducting 140 tests per day per million population. Overall, 201 tests per day per million population is being conducted in India. Lab network has been ramped up to increase the testing, and more than 1400 labs are conducting the COVID-19 test in the country. Bhupender Singh, AIR News, Delhi.
The Health and Family Welfare Ministry said states have been advised to keep a continued focus on containment, testing and clinical management. It said increased testing will help in early detection of the cases, and COVID-appropriate behavior and community ownership is necessary to contain the spread of this disease. On the question of higher prices of certain drugs used in the COVID-19 treatment, the Health Ministry said the Drug Controller General of India has asked the companies to start helpline numbers for the people and publicize the distribution centers through their websites. In addition, the state governments have been asked to keep a vigil on price hike of the drugs and ensure the supply of medicines. On the question of nationwide lockdown, the Health Ministry clarified that strict measures have been imposed in certain containment areas, as it has been found that easing of lockdown in the containment zones increases the number of cases. Indian Council of Medical Research ICMR said India has fast-tracked its efforts for the development of COVID-19 vaccines, which are under human trial stage. It said the coronavirus affects several organs of the body like the liver, kidney, heart and blood vessels, and that's why in most of the treatments it is recommended to give blood thinner or anticoagulants for preventing the complications. ICMR said in severe patients of COVID, there is a problem of cytokine storm which leads to serious conditions. It said there are 2 drugs which have been considered to stop the cytokine storm. One is tocilizumab and the other is itolizumab. These drugs have not yet demonstrated mortality reduction in the trials. On the reports of airborne transmission of COVID-19, ICMR said that physical distancing is important to contain the spread of this virus.
Union Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan today held discussion with his Australian counterpart, Gregory Andrew Hunt, on bilateral health cooperation, including management of COVID-19. Speaking on the need for working together during the digital interaction, Dr. Harshvardhan said healthcare in India is one of the fastest growing sectors and is expected to hit $275 billion mark in the next 10 years. India's domestic demand is expected to remain the key growth engine regardless of any turbulence in the global economy. India also offers vast opportunities in research and development and medical tourism. The Health Minister said India's traditional holistic medicinal systems like Ayurveda and Yoga can help Australia curb obesity and related diseases. Dr. Harshvardhan said India and Australia have signed an MOU on cooperation in the field of health and medicine in 2017. The MOU covers areas of mutual interest like the management of communicable diseases like malaria and tuberculosis, mental health and non-communicable diseases amongst others. The MOU also covers response to public health emergencies like the present COVID pandemic. The Australian Health Minister spoke of the trust Prime Minister Narendra Modi espouses in the international community.
Consumer Affairs Minister Ramvilas Paswan has said that 295,000 metric tons of food grains have been lifted by the states so far under the extended Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Anna Yojana PMGKAY. This is out of 203 lakh metric tons of food grains which was allocated under the scheme to the states for 5 months from July to November. Mr. Paswan in a tweet said, since the 1st of this month, 13.69 lakh metric tons of food grains have been loaded and dispatched to the states so far through 489 rail racks. The minister also informed that from the 25th of March to 30th of June, Food Corporation of India FCI has transported approximately 140 lakh metric tons of food grains through 4,999 rail racks. Mr. Paswan added that procurement of wheat and paddy from farmers under procurement targets for the Rabi season 2020-21 is continuing.
Indian Railways has developed a post-COVID coach to fight COVID-19. This post-COVID coach is designed with hands-free amenities, copper-coated handrails and latches, plasma air purification and titanium dioxide coating for COVID-free passenger journey. The Railways Ministry said the coach has been designed by the Rail Coach Factory at Kapurthala to prevent the spread of COVID-19. The Ministry said Railways has taken numerous steps and measures to prevent the spread of COVID-19 infection. This post-COVID coach includes amenities like foot-operated water tap and soap dispenser, foot-operated lavatory door, foot-operated flush valve, outside wash basin with foot-operated water tap and soap dispenser. The ministry said this coach has the provision of plasma air equipment in AC duct. This equipment will sterilize the air and surfaces inside the AC coach using ionized air to make the coach COVID-19 and particulate matter resistant.
In our series Experts Speak on All India Radio, we bring you the views of the leading medical experts on COVID-19. Talking to AIR News, Dr. Amarchand Bajaj, Senior Consultant at the Sitaram Bharatiya Institute of Science and Research in New Delhi, highlighted the importance of hygiene and how to maintain it to contain novel coronavirus.
जब तक हमारे पास इनकी ट्रीटमेंट वैक्सीन या मेडिसिन के रूप में ना निकले तब तक हमें जो प्रिकॉशनरी मेजर्स है वो फॉलो करने हैं। जहाँ जरूरत ना हो उसमें घर से बिल्कुल बाहर ना निकले, कोशिश करें कम से कम बाहर निकलना है। और जबकि निकलना भी पड़ा घर से बाहर तो कोशिश करें कि जहाँ आप 2 लोग खड़े हैं करीब 2 मीटर दूर खड़े रहें, नहीं तो कम से कम 1 मीटर दूर खड़े रहें।
Dr. Naresh Gupta of Lok Nayak Jayaprakash Narayan Hospital in Delhi said that in most of the cases, the COVID-19 infections are self-limiting and very few patients are required to take admission in the hospital.
80% में तो ऐसी भी तकलीफ नहीं करते हैं या इतनी हल्की करते हैं कि लोग घर पर ही ठीक हो जाते हैं। 10-15% में उनको अस्पताल जाके कुछ दवाई दी जाती है और वो सेटल हो जाते हैं। 5% या उससे कम वाले हैं जो कि दाखिल होना पड़ता है।
You are listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Rajasthan Governor approves removal of Sachin Pilot and 2 other ministers. Govind Singh Dotasara appointed as the next Congress state president. The commander-level talks between India and China for the second phase of this engagement along the LAC conclude at Chushul in eastern Ladakh. Complete lockdown to be imposed in the entire state of Bihar from the 16th till the 31st of July amid surge in coronavirus cases. HRD Ministry announces guidelines for online classes, recommends restriction on the screen time. and Indian Railways develops post-COVID coach with hands-free amenities to fight COVID-19. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
In Bihar, a complete lockdown has been imposed for 16 days in the entire state. It will be effective from 16th of this month till 31st of July to contain the spread of COVID-19. The decision has been taken due to an alarming spike in number of cases in the state during the last 3 weeks. As part of the containment measures, government offices and public corporations and educational institutions will remain closed. All private and commercial establishments will also remain closed. Offices related to judicial work will be run as per the guidelines issued by the administration of the Patna High Court. However, ration shops, dairy, vegetables and meat shops will remain open. All places of worship and religious gatherings will also remain closed. All kinds of e-commerce and home delivery will be allowed. Public transport service will also be allowed in the lockdown period. However, private vehicles will be limited to essential works only. Train and flight services have been allowed. All construction-related activities will be allowed, along with the functioning of construction-related shops. Similarly, agriculture-related activities will be allowed, along with the functioning of agriculture-related shops. Hospitality services, including hotels, motels and lodges, will be allowed to operate during the lockdown. Restaurants, dhaba and eateries will also remain open, but with home delivery services only. Repair and maintenance activities such as garage, mobile repair shops will also be allowed to operate by the district administration. The state recorded 1,432 new COVID-19 positive cases during the last 24 hours. This is the highest number of single-day increase in coronavirus cases. The total number of COVID-19 cases in the state now mounted to 18,853. On the other hand, 13,019 persons have recovered so far. The recovery rate in Bihar stands at 69%. 160 persons have died due to coronavirus in the state so far. Sikkim Chief Minister P.S. Tamang today called for enforcement of complete lockdown in Rongli and Pangyong subdivisions in East Sikkim from 6 in the morning tomorrow to contain the spread of COVID-19. The decision was taken at an emergency meeting of the State Task Force convened at Gangtok today to discuss the recent spike in cases in these subdivisions. The Chief Minister directed immediate restriction on movement of people into official residences of ministers and MLAs. He further called for an immediate restriction on the return of employees and workers of all private companies for the next 15 days. However, central government employees should be allowed to enter after thorough screening and testing.
Nagaland government has extended the ongoing lockdown in the state till the 31st of this month. The lockdown in the state was imposed on the 29th of last month and was scheduled to end tomorrow. The extension was necessitated in view of the increase in COVID-19 cases in the state. The state government said the existing guidelines with regard to the lockdown will continue to remain operative in the state. In Meghalaya, the 2-day-long lockdown imposed in Shillong city of East Khasi Hills district will not be extended and will conclude at 5 a.m. tomorrow. Deputy Chief Minister Preston Tinsong said the decision was taken in a review meeting held today. He said the lockdown has helped the government to trace the contact of persons who attended the wedding at Greenwood Resort in Guwahati. So far, 198 contact tracing has been done. The minister said as per the health authorities, the tracing is almost complete, so they have decided not to extend the lockdown.
The Human Resource and Development Ministry has announced guidelines for online classes operationalized by schools amid the pandemic. HRD Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank virtually released the Pragyata guidelines on digital education in New Delhi today. The guidelines recommend a cap on the screen time for students. The HRD Ministry has suggested that the online classes for pre-primary students should not be for more than 30 minutes a day. For classes 1st to 8th, it has been suggested that not more than 2 online sessions of up to 45 minutes each should be conducted in a day. The guidelines have been issued keeping in mind the overall development of students with an aim to cut down undue screen time. For the senior students, that is from class 9th to 12th, the ministry has suggested to limit the online classes to a maximum of 4 sessions of up to 45 minutes each. Speaking on the release of the Pragyata guidelines, Mr. Pokhriyal said, that the pandemic has led to the closure of schools and has impacted over 240 million children of the country who are enrolled in schools. He said Pragyata guidelines have been developed from the perspective of learners, with a focus on online digital education for students who are presently at home due to the lockdown. Tamilnadu Chief Minister Edappadi Palaniswamy launched a television-based learning program for the 10th standard students today. The state-run Kalavi television channel will air the programs initially for 2.5 hours during all the weekdays. A release from the state administration said the move will help students to continue their studies as an alternative measure until the schools reopen. The Chief Minister also inaugurated the scheme of downloading the 12th standard video lessons in laptops for the benefits of the higher secondary students. Meanwhile, the Southern Railway has suspended operation of special trains in Tamil Nadu till the end of this month. A release from the railway said that the action has been taken as requested by the state government. The total COVID-19 positive cases in Tamil Nadu has exceeded 1,47,000 mark, with 4,526 people testing positive today. More from our correspondent.
The Southern Railway has been operating 7 pairs of special trains covering all key cities in the state for some time during the lockdown till the 29th of last month. However, concerns were raised that the plying of public transport, including buses and trains, contributed to a surge in the new cases of COVID-19 in the state. Therefore, the state government halted bus services originally till tomorrow, which now stands extended till this month end. Similarly, the Southern Railway has also extended the ban till that time. However, it has been made clear that the operation of the Chennai-New Delhi Rajdhani Express trains would continue. Jai Singh, AIR News, Chennai.
Karnataka Health Department has ordered 48 hours closure of the OPD department of 2 private hospitals in Bengaluru, which had not complied with the directions of the government to hand over 50% of its bed for the COVID care. Medical Education Minister Dr. K. Sudhakar informed this in Bengaluru today. He said criminal cases will be lodged against such hospitals who charge more than that fixed by the government. The minister also announced 10,000 rupees per month risk allowance to Group D workers involved in counter-COVID measures. Kerala confirmed 608 new COVID-19 positive cases today, which is the highest single-day increase in coronavirus cases in the state so far. We have a report.
Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan said that the state is entering a very serious and critical phase as among the new cases, 396 persons got the disease through local transmission. This is the highest number of contact cases being reported so far, raising alarm as the COVID infection is nearing to community spread in the state. Thiruvananthapuram recorded highest number of cases with 201 new COVID cases, among which 158 persons contracted the disease through contact. Chief Minister urged local self-governments across the state to strengthen the ground-level COVID preventive measures. Meanwhile, state reported one more COVID death in Alappuzha district, taking the death toll due to COVID to 34 in the state. 151 recoveries were also reported today. The total active cases in Kerala rose to 4,454. Meanwhile, the state higher secondary and vocational higher secondary +2 exam results will be declared tomorrow. Mayusha for AR News from Thiruvananthapuram.
In Maharashtra, the doubling rate of COVID-19 cases in Mumbai has slowed down to 52 days. Talking exclusively to AIR News, Vice Chairman of the University Grants Commission UGC, Bhushan Patwardhan said, awarding degrees to students without final examinations is not acceptable academically. More on this from our Mumbai correspondent.
Stating that he was aware of how serious the COVID situation in Maharashtra is, UGC Vice Chairman Mr. Bhushan Patwardhan today said he is holding discussions with the Chancellor and other experts as to what the options are. He, however, clarified that awarding degrees without final examinations is not acceptable academically. Adding that students' health and safety is supreme, Mr. Patwardhan said the Commission will try to think about some mutually acceptable and sustainable solution. Meanwhile, amid all the gloom, a centenarian, Arjun Govind Narangikar, has won the battle against coronavirus. The staff and doctors at Balasaheb Thackeray Hospital in suburban Goregaon celebrated his birthday earlier this month, a day before his discharge. This glorious win over COVID-19 will hopefully inspire thousands of others running low on morale. With Jeevan Bhavsar, this is Nisha Rani, AIR News, Mumbai.
In Madhya Pradesh, no picnicking would be allowed in Indore district in view of the pandemic. District Collector Manish Singh said in an order that all the picnic spots in the district will remain closed till further orders. Those who violate the order will face arrest under the relevant laws. We have a report.
In Indore, large crowds are being gathered at popular picnic spots such as Patal Pani, Choral and Kalakund with the onset of monsoon. The collector's order also emphasized that the need to adopt protective measures to keep the virus away. Officials said that it is also seen that parties are being organized at homes and farmhouses by some people in violation of government guidelines on physical distancing and wearing masks. The Madhya Pradesh government has already announced complete lockdown across the state on Sundays. Indore's Chief Medical and Health Officer Praveen Jadia said that with 92 new cases, the coronavirus tally in the district now stands at 5,352. A total of 269 patients have succumbed to the viral infection so far in the district, while 4,017 people have recovered. Sanjeev Sharma, AIR News, Bhopal.
In Jammu and Kashmir, there has been no let-up in the COVID-19 cases. The total number of COVID-19 cases in the Union Territory has reached 10,827. 18 deaths have been reported from Jammu. 170 cases were reported from the Kashmir Division. Kashmir Division continues to show an upward trend, while Srinagar district has been witnessing the sharp spike relentlessly, with 101 cases being recorded as per the previous medical bulletin issued by the J&K government. The 15th meeting of the India-European Union Summit will be held in virtual mode tomorrow. The summit will be co-chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, President of the European Council Charles Michel, and President of the European Commission Ursula von der Leyen. A report.
The summit is taking place in the background of EU wanting to play a more active role globally and also attaching higher priority to relationship with India and trying to look at the partnership in a more substantive way. The new presidents of the European Commission and European Council had taken over in December last year. The new leadership believes that EU needs to play a stronger role in the global platform and has shown a lot of interest in India. It was in the year 2000 in which India and the European Union decided to institutionalize the mechanism at the level of the summit. This year marks 20 years of the summit process between India and EU. The last summit between the two sides took place in 2017. With Anand Chaturvedi, Suparna Sekhya, AIR News, Delhi.
Speaking exclusively to AIR News, European Union Ambassador to India, Hugo Astuto, said that both India and EU share strong bilateral relations. He said the 15th summit slated for tomorrow holds high significance as both the partners will pledge together to fight the menace of COVID-19.
India and the European Union share the same values of democracy and pluralism. And we strongly believe in multilateralism, in a rules-based system of international governance. And I'm stressing this because this is particularly relevant now as we face a global crisis which requires a collective and cohesive response by the international community grounded in solidarity. The EU and India have a set of converging priorities that I believe will be key for the international agenda in the wake of COVID. For instance, we need to fight against climate change. We have to work for a greener, more sustainable, just and digital future.
Now let us take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. National capital Delhi will see a minimum temperature of 28 degrees Celsius and maximum 38 degrees with generally cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle. Mumbai will see a generally cloudy sky with heavy rain. Minimum temperature will be 25, maximum temperature will be 31. Rain or thunder showers would occur towards evening or night in Chennai tomorrow. The temperature will hover between 26 and 35 degrees Celsius. Kolkata will see a partly cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Minimum temperature in Kolkata will be 27 while maximum will be 34. On to north, in Srinagar, the minimum temperature will be 16 while maximum will be 32. In Gilgit, the temperature will hover between 19 and 32 degrees Celsius. In Muzaffarabad, there will be a mainly clear sky. It will see a minimum temperature of 21 while the maximum temperature will be 35. And now, before we end, the headlines once again. Rajasthan Governor approves removal of Sachin Pilot and 2 other ministers. Govind Singh Dotasara appointed as the next Congress state president. Commander-level talks between India and China for second phase of disengagement along the LAC conclude at Chushul in eastern Ladakh. Complete lockdown to be imposed in entire state of Bihar from 16th till 31st of July amid surge in coronavirus cases. HRD Ministry announces guidelines for online classes, recommends restriction on the screen time. And Indian Railways Develop post-COVID coach with hands-free amenities to fight COVID-19. And that is all in the evening news. From all of us here, good night.